My family laughed when my grandmother left me her old cabin. The surveyors knocked. "Ma'am, you own the whole mountain." Turns out they'd been trespassing on my land for years. The will reading was at Uncle Richard's house, the custom-built one overlooking the valley where Grandma's worthless shack sat barely visible through the trees below. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "To Richard, I leave my investment portfolio valued at $340,000 and the classic car collection." Uncle Richard nodded smugly. 3 vintage cars, healthy stocks, exactly what he expected. "To Patricia, I leave the beachfront condo and safety deposit box contents." Aunt Patricia smiled. That Malibu condo was worth $800,000 easy. "To Michael, the jewelry collection appraised at $180,000. My parents squeezed hands. Finally, recognition. "And to Emma, I leave the cabin on Deer Creek Trail and all its contents." Silence. Then Cousin Beth exploded laughing. "The shack? That termite-infested outhouse?" Uncle Richard wiped tears. "All those summers wasted up there, and that's what you get. No electricity, a well that runs dry every August. Roof's probably caved in," Aunt Patricia said. "Just let the forest take it back. I'll check on it this weekend," I said quietly. More laughter. "Bring a tent," Beth called, "for when the floor collapses." I left while they divided the real inheritance. Grandma's car, her china, whether to list her townhouse for $650,000 or $700,000. The cabin was 2 hours up a winding dirt road. My sedan barely made it, scraping rocks twice, but the cabin stood solid, built from logs Grandpa cut himself in 1949. Moss-covered roof intact, porch sagging but sturdy. Inside, everything waited. Grandma's chair, herb jars, and an envelope on the table. "My dearest Emma," they laughed, didn't they? "Let them. You're the only one who loved this land like I did. The only one who listened about property lines and survey markers. In the bedroom closet behind winter coats, metal box, everything you need is inside. Remember, the greatest treasures look worthless to those who can't see. Love, Grandma Rose. P.S. Water the tomatoes." I found the fireproof box easily. Inside were manila envelopes, each labeled and dated. The first was a survey map from 1952. My hands shook, tracing the property lines. This wasn't 1 or 2 acres. The boundaries extended across ridge lines, following watersheds, covering. I sat hard on the bed. Second envelope, original deed and mineral rights. Third, timber rights. Fourth, aerial photos from different decades showing development gradually creeping onto what the maps clearly showed was Grandma's property, including Uncle Richard's house, Cousin Beth's vacation rentals, the ski resort's lower runs. I spent the weekend cross-referencing everything. Grandma kept meticulous records. She knew exactly what she owned and who was trespassing. She just never said anything. Sunday evening, I called a surveying company. "I need a comprehensive survey. Original deed shows 2,000 acres, but I need exact boundaries marked." 2,000 acres? When was the last survey? 1952. A low whistle. "You definitely need an update. A lot of development since then. Could be interesting boundary issues." 2 weeks later, surveyors arrived with GPS equipment. Tom, the lead, whistled, reviewing the documents. "Ma'am, if these are accurate, you own half this mountain. How long to confirm? Give us a week." I stayed at the cabin that week, fixing things, tending Grandma's garden, ignoring family texts about giving up on that dump. Tom called Friday. "You need to see this." They'd set up tables on the porch, maps everywhere. Orange survey flags dotted the mountainside in every direction. "Congratulations. You own 2,347 acres of prime mountain real estate. Original was 2,000, but with how boundaries work with ridgelines, you have more. And the developments?" I pulled out a map marked with red X's. "Your uncle's $2.3 million house? 600 feet inside your property line. Been there since 2008. Your cousin's vacation homes. 12 houses completely on your land. They've collected rent for 6 years. I found Grandma's medical records. Doctor's notes about Richard's harassment. ER report from December 2019. Injuries inconsistent with simple fall. Defensive bruising as if patient tried to catch herself during a push. The nurse wrote, patient's son arrived, argued about inheritance. Security removed him. Patient terrified. Grandma died 3 days later from a stroke. Toxicology showed elevated heart medication, enough to cause the stroke. Pharmacy record. Richard picked up her medications that week. He'd volunteered because she could barely drive. Headlights swept across the cabin. Richard's truck. 4 people getting out, all family. They walked toward the cabin with purpose, and Richard was carrying Grandma's old kerosene lantern, the one that leaked fuel. I watched them approach through the window. Richard in front, that lantern swinging, Patricia and Michael behind him, and Beth bringing up the rear looking uncomfortable. Tom and his crew had left an hour ago, but I'd asked 2 of them to stick around, just in case. Richard didn't knock. He just walked straight up onto the porch and set that leaking lantern right on the railing. Fuel dripped onto the old wood, making a dark stain that spread slowly across the weathered boards. He pulled papers from his jacket, the pages already folded like he'd been carrying them around all day, waiting for this moment. "You're gonna sign these, Emma. Quit claim deed. Signs the whole property over to the family trust, like Grandma should have done years ago. Or what?" I stayed in the doorway, arms crossed. "Or we tell everyone you're losing it, just like Grandma did at the end. Paranoid, confused, making up stories about property lines and surveys." He stepped closer. The porch board creaked under his weight. "We'll burn those survey maps right here, tonight. County records take weeks to process. By then, you'll be in a facility getting the help you clearly need." I pulled out my phone. "Everything you just said? Recorded. Maps are already filed with the county. Surveyors submitted everything Tuesday." Richard's face went white, then red. He lunged for my phone. "Give me that." Tom stepped out from inside the cabin. followed by his 2 workers, big guys, the kind who spend all day hauling equipment up mountains. One of them was holding a heavy surveyor's tripod like it weighed nothing. Richard froze mid-reach. His hand just hung there in the air for a second before he dropped it. I watched him recalculate, right there on the porch. You could literally see the switch flip behind his eyes. The aggression drained out of his posture, replaced by something smoother. Okay, he held up both hands, backing away from me. Okay, Emma, I get it. You're upset. This is all a shock. His voice changed completely. Smooth now, reasonable, like he was talking to a child who'd misunderstood something simple. Let me explain something you might not understand about this property. I'm listening. I've been running a timber operation on this land for 15 years. Deer Creek Holdings LLC, completely legal, paying all taxes, everything by the book. He smiled like he was doing me a favor. Sustainable harvest, rotating sections, working with the forestry department, made this land actually productive instead of just sitting here. How productive? I clear about $90,000 a year. Good income, steady. He pulled out more papers, business documents this time, crisp letterhead, official stamps. Here's what I'm thinking. You sign over management rights to me, just management, you keep ownership on paper, and I'll cut you in for 30% of future profits. That's $27,000 a year for doing absolutely nothing. Patricia nodded encouragingly from behind him. That's actually very generous, Emma. 30%, I said, of $90,000 annual profit from land you've been using for 15 years. That's almost $1.5 million, Michael said quietly. He was actually doing the math, his lips moving slightly. You made $1.35 million from Grandma's land. Richard shot him a look. It's not that simple. Operating costs, equipment, replanting. I want all the records, I said. Every document related to Deer Creek Holdings. Every contract, every payment, every tax filing. Tomorrow morning, right here. Or I file eviction notices for everyone on this property by Monday. The smile fell off Richard's face. You can't just... Tomorrow morning. Every single paper. He looked at Patricia, at Michael, at Beth. Nobody said anything. Beth was staring at her feet, hands shoved deep in her jacket pockets. Fine, Richard said. You want transparency? You'll get transparency. But when you see how complex this operation is, how much work I've put in, you'll understand why my offer is fair. They left. Just walked back to their vehicles without another word. The lantern stayed on the railing, still leaking. Tom kicked it off into the dirt, and we watched the fuel soak into the ground. That guy's a piece of work, he said. Yeah, I said. But he's also about to hand me everything I need to destroy him. Tom smiled. Need us to come back tomorrow? Yeah. 8 in the morning work? We'll be here. Richard showed up at 8 the next morning with 4 file boxes stacked in the bed of his truck. He actually looked confident, like he'd decided overnight that overwhelming me with paperwork was his new strategy. Maybe he figured I'd get confused, sign something just to make it simpler. Maybe he thought I was actually stupid enough to believe his generosity act. He set the boxes on the porch with a thud. Everything's here. 15 years of records. You'll see exactly how professional this operation is. I opened the first box right there while he watched. Tom had come back to help me go through everything, and he pulled out folders while I started reading. Tax returns, timber sales, equipment receipts, all organized by year. What's this? I held up a lease agreement. Beth's name is on this. That's just the vacation rental arrangement. Beth pays for land use rights. I manage the property maintenance, and she pays you $3,000 a month? I looked at the dates. Since 2018? Richard cleared his throat. It's a standard arrangement. That's $216,000. I felt my hands shaking. The paper crinkled in my grip. You've collected over $200,000 from your own niece while telling her this was family property? I was managing costs, Emma. Someone has to coordinate maintenance, property taxes, liability insurance. I already had my phone out calling Beth. She answered on the second ring. Emma, I really don't have time for... Did you know Richard's been charging you $3,000 a month for land that's actually mine? Silence. I could hear traffic in the background. She was driving. Beth, I need to call you back. No, stay on the line. I put her on speaker. Richard's right here. Ask him. I could hear Beth breathing on the other end, hear her turn signal clicking, then her car accelerating. Is it true, Richard? Richard stood up from the porch chair. Beth, let me explain the full situation. Is it true? Her voice cracked. Have I been paying you $3,000 a month for 6 years? You were paying for property management, maintenance, administrative costs. I asked you 5 times if I needed to pay rent. 5 times, Richard. You said family doesn't charge family. You said Grandma wanted us to share the land. She was shaking now. I could hear it in her voice. You said you were just keeping track of the expenses and we'd settle up someday when Grandma... She stopped. I heard her brake hard, probably pulling over. You were waiting for her to die, Beth said. You were collecting money from me, telling me it was for maintenance, and just waiting for Grandma to die so nobody would ever know. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Beth's voice went up an octave. Explain it to me like I'm stupid, since apparently I've been stupid enough to pay you $250,000 for nothing. I pulled out another folder. There's more, Beth. The ski resort's been paying him $20,000 annually for access rights to the lower runs, and the hunting club pays $15,000 for seasonal permits. Richard's jaw tightened. A muscle jumped in his cheek. Those are legitimate business arrangements. For land you don't own, Tom said. He'd been going through the files, making notes on a legal pad. You've made over $1 million in the past 15 years telling everyone this land was worthless. Beth didn't say anything for a long moment. I could hear her breathing, could hear the highway noise in the background of her call. I'm coming over, she finally said. Don't let him leave. She made it in 40 minutes. Must have been speeding the whole way. Her car barely stopped before she was out and walking toward the porch. Her eyes went straight to Richard, and I saw something in her expression I'd never seen before. Not anger exactly, something colder. her. Is it true? Richard stood up. Beth, let me explain the full situation. Is it true? Her voice was flat now, controlled. Have I been paying you $3,000 a month for 6 years? You were paying for property management, maintenance, administrative costs, insurance premiums. I asked you 5 times if I needed to pay rent. 5 separate times, Richard. At the beginning, after the first year, after Grandma had that fall, after the county reassessed property values, and again last Christmas. She counted them on her fingers. Every single time you said family doesn't charge family. You said Grandma wanted us to share the land, that she'd want us to use it together. The expenses were real, Beth. Someone had to coordinate. Show me. She walked up the porch steps. Show me $200,000 worth of expenses for my 12 rental cabins. Richard opened a different folder. Roof repairs, septic maintenance, road grading, snow removal. I paid for my own roof repairs, Beth said. I have the receipts. I paid for septic maintenance. I paid for everything on the cabins themselves. You said the $3,000 was for the land use and general property upkeep. General property upkeep is extensive on this much acreage. What acreage? Beth's voice cracked again. It's not your acreage. It never was. She sat down hard on the porch steps. She just stared at nothing for a minute, her hands gripping the edge of the wooden steps so hard her knuckles went white. Then she looked up at me. What happens to my rentals now? Everyone has 30 days to vacate, I said. Unless Richard repays everything he stole. Every dollar from Deer Creek Holdings, every payment from you, every fee from the ski resort and hunting club. All of it. I'll lose everything, Beth said quietly. Those rentals are my income, my retirement plan. I sank every dollar I had into building them. No, you won't. I looked at Richard. If Richard transfers every dollar from Deer Creek Holdings to you by Friday, the rentals can stay. You keep your business. He loses his. Beth turned to Richard. Do it. Absolutely not. Richard's voice went hard. The reasonable businessman mask dropped completely. That money's invested. Equipment, development, contracts. I built that business from nothing and I'm not handing it over because Emma found some old papers in a box. Then Emma evicts me and I lose everything I've worked for. That's Emma's choice, not mine. She's the one threatening you, Beth. I gave you an opportunity and you made money from it. That's not my fault. You charged me $200,000 for land you stole. I managed property that was sitting unused. I created value where there was none. If Emma wants to destroy that because of some technicality? Beth stood up. It's her land, Richard. It was always her land. Grandma's land. Mom was old and confused and holding on to something she didn't understand. I made the smart choice. The business choice. Beth stared at him. I watched her face change again, something shifting behind her eyes, the hurt draining away, replaced by calculation. She looked at me. If I help prove what you stole from the family, does the offer still stand? Yes, I said. Beth stood up. Then let's go through every file. I want to see exactly how much this son of a bitch took from all of us. It took us 6 hours. Beth knew things I didn't. Conversations Richard had with Patricia, loans he'd made to Michael, promises he'd made to everyone. She cross-referenced everything with the documents, and the picture got clearer and clearer. Richard had charged Patricia management fees for timber sales on land Patricia thought they jointly inherited. The paperwork showed regular payments. $4,000 here, $6,000 there, sometimes as high as $12,000 for a particularly good harvest. $53,000 over a decade, all told. Patricia thought she was getting her share, Beth said, reading through the contracts. Look at this letter. Richard told her the timber company was splitting profits among all Rose's children, 33% each. But there was no split, Tom said. This all went into Deer Creek Holdings, which Richard owns entirely, I said. Beth pulled out another file. And look at this. Richard loaned Michael $50,000 for his business back in 2016, 8% interest. That's not terrible, I said. It is when you realize the loan was funded with profits from the illegal timber operation. Michael's been paying Richard interest on what was basically Michael's own inheritance money. We found more. Richard had charged the ski resort for environmental impact assessments that were never actually conducted. He'd collected fees from the hunting club for wildlife management that consisted of him doing absolutely nothing. He'd even charged Beth's renters a $50 mountain access fee that went straight into his pocket. He built a whole empire, Tom said, looking at the spreadsheet we'd created, all on stolen land. Beth called Patricia first, put her on speaker while Richard stood there listening, his arms crossed. Patricia, it's Beth. I'm at the cabin with Emma. You need to hear this. I'm not interested in Emma's drama. Richard's been stealing from you for 10 years. $53,000 in management fees for timber sales on land he doesn't own. Silence. Then, what are you talking about? Beth explained everything. The fake profit-sharing agreement, the management fees that were supposed to be Patricia's share of timber sales, how Richard had pocketed every dollar while telling Patricia she was getting her fair cut. I heard Patricia's breathing change on the other end. I need to see the documents, Patricia said. I'm taking pictures right now. Beth snapped photos with her phone. Sending them to you. Don't send me pictures, Beth. I want the originals. I'm getting in the car. Call Michael and tell him to meet us there. Michael answered on the first ring when Beth called him. What's going on? Patricia just texted me to drop everything and get to Rose's cabin. Beth told him about the loan, how it was funded with profits from Richard's illegal timber operation, how the interest Michael had been paying for 8 years was going straight into Richard's pocket. That loan saved my business, Michael said slowly. I was 3 weeks from bankruptcy. Richard said he believed in me, that family supports family. I know, Beth said. That's how he kept everyone quiet, gave us just enough to feel grateful while he pocketed everything else. I've paid him back $47,000 so far. The interest alone is... Michael stopped. I'm leaving now. Don't let him go anywhere. Patricia arrived just before Michael, her luxury sedan kicking up dust on the dirt road. She got out wearing heels and a business suit. Completely wrong for the mountain, but she didn't seem to notice. Just walked straight to the porch. Show me, she said. We showed her. Every document, every contract, every payment. She went through it all with the same careful attention she probably used reviewing contracts at her law firm. She didn't say a word for 20 minutes, just read. Finally, she looked up at Richard. You told me we were splitting the timber profits. You said it was 33% for you, Patricia, and Michael each. That's what you said at Dad's funeral. The business needed capital to grow. You said we were partners. You made me sign papers saying I acknowledged my share. I have those papers in my safe deposit box at home. Those papers were for the accountant. Was there ever a split? Patricia's voice went quiet. Did I ever get a single dollar of my actual share? Richard opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No, he finally said. The market wasn't right. I was waiting for 10 years, Patricia said. 10 years you lied to me. Michael arrived then, and we started over. Showed him everything. The loan documents showing the money came from Deer Creek Holdings. The interest payments he'd been making. The emails where Richard encouraged him to borrow more, expand faster, take risks because family believes in you. You used me, Michael said. He looked physically sick, his face pale. You gave me stolen money, and then charged me interest on it. I gave you an opportunity when no one else would, Richard said. Your business exists because of me. My business exists because of Grandma's land, Michael shot back. Because you stole from her and then convinced me I owed you something. Then we all sat on the porch while the sun set, going through Richard's empire piece by piece. The spreadsheet showed everything. Deer Creek Holdings had brought in $90,000 a year from timber sales. Beth's rental payments added $36,000 annually, the ski resort another $20,000, the hunting club $15,000, environmental fees, access fees, management fees. It all added up to roughly $1.2 million over 15 years, and none of it was his. I protected family assets, Richard finally said. The sun was almost down now, the sky going purple over the mountains. Grandma was old, stubborn, refusing every opportunity. Someone had to make the smart choices. Someone had to monetize this land before it was worthless. Patricia looked at him. Why didn't my share of the timber money ever reach me if you were protecting family assets? Richard opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. He just stood there, backlit by the sunset, silent. Michael leaned forward in the porch chair. I want full access to the LLC accounts. Every transaction for 15 years. That's private business information. For a business running on land you stole from my mother, Michael said. His voice cracked on the word mother. My mother? Richard, your own mother. Richard's face went red. Don't you dare make this about Mom. She was losing it at the end. Everyone knows that. Paranoid, confused, holding on to this land like it meant something when it was just what? I asked quietly. Just dirt. He stood up fast, kicking over a file box. Papers scattered across the porch, fluttering in the evening breeze. Just worthless mountain dirt that she sat on like a peasant while the world moved on. I tried for years to get her to sell, to develop, to do something productive. She refused everything. Every offer, every opportunity. So yes, I took control because someone had to. Someone had to make this land worth something. Is that why you kept visiting her those last months? I asked. Why you picked up her medications? Why she ended up in the ER with defensive bruising? The porch went completely silent. Even the birds stopped singing. Richard stared at me. You don't know what you're talking about. I have the medical records, the pharmacy records, the toxicology report showing elevated heart medication, the same medication you picked up for her the week she died. Patricia stood up slowly. Richard, what did you do? Nothing. I did nothing. She fell. That's what the report says. The report says injuries inconsistent with a simple fall, I said. I pulled out the ER paperwork from the file box. It says bruising like someone tried to catch themselves during a push. It says the nurse noted you arguing about inheritance right before security removed you. Michael was on his feet now too. Mom died from a stroke. They said it was natural, caused by elevated heart medication, I said. Enough to trigger a stroke in someone her age. Richard picked up that medication. Richard was pressuring her to sign. Richard was there when she fell. You can't prove anything, Richard said. His voice shook. You're making implications based on coincidence. Maybe, I said. But here's what I can prove. You've been running an illegal operation on stolen land for 15 years. You've defrauded your own family out of over $1 million. You've committed tax fraud, contract fraud, and probably a dozen other crimes I haven't found yet. I pulled out a blank document, a simple transfer agreement I'd had Tom's lawyer friend draft that afternoon. So here's my offer. You sign over the land, the LLC, everything to me right now, tonight. In exchange, I don't tell your wife Sharon about the secret accounts. I don't tell your business partners about the fraud. I don't tell your daughter Claire that her wedding was funded by stolen money. I looked right at him. You sign and walk away with your reputation intact, or I destroy you completely. Richard laughed. Actually laughed. You're bluffing. You're not going to blow up my life over this. Try me. I'll fight this in court. Adverse possession. I've improved the property, maintained it, paid taxes on the business. Any judge will see. I pulled out my phone and dialed Sharon's number. Richard saw the name on the screen. Don't, he said. It rang once. I looked at Richard, my finger hovering over the speaker button. Emma, I swear to God. It rang twice. Okay, just Hang up. I hung up. You sign everything right now, or I call back and tell her about Deer Creek Holdings. Sharon doesn't know about the business side. It's complicated. She wouldn't understand. Exactly. So imagine her finding out her husband's been running $1 million operation she knew nothing about, funded by stealing from his own mother. I started dialing again. Or should I call Claire instead? Let her know where the money for her wedding really came from? That beautiful venue in Napa, the designer dress, the honeymoon in Bali, all funded by Grandma's stolen land? You wouldn't do that to Claire. She's innocent in all this. So was Grandma. Richard's hand shook as he reached for the papers. If I sign, you bury all this? Nobody else finds out? That was the offer. Before you refused. He looked up fast. What? I lied, I said. You chose greed over family for 15 years. You stole from your own mother, from your sister, your brother, your niece. You made Grandma's last month's hell because she wouldn't give you what you wanted. I felt surprisingly calm saying it. So no, Richard. I'm telling everyone anyway. Sharon, Claire, your business partners, everyone. You get to feel exactly what it's like when family chooses money over you. He lunged at me. Actually lunged, hands reaching for my throat. Michael caught him from behind, pulling him back while Richard screamed, "You manipulative little bitch, just like her, just like that old woman sitting up here playing games." Tom stepped between us. Sign the papers or we call the cops and show them everything. Richard was crying now, actual tears running down his face while Michael held him. Patricia and Beth just watched. Nobody moved to help him. He signed everything. His hands shook so badly he could barely write, but he signed. The land transfer, the LLC ownership, access to all accounts, every single page. His signature got messier as he went, the letters barely legible by the end. When he finished, I took the papers and handed copies to Beth. Make sure these get filed first thing Monday morning. You said you wouldn't tell, Richard said. He looked broken, shoulders slumped. You promised. I lied. I thought I made that clear. I called Sharon on speaker right there. She answered cheerfully, like nothing was wrong. Emma, how are you, sweetie? Richard said you inherited Rose's old cabin. Hi, Sharon. Did you know about Deer Creek Holdings, LLC? Pause. What's that? It's Richard's timber company. He's been running it for 15 years on Grandma's land, making about $90,000 a year. There should be over $1 million in the accounts. Long pause. I could hear Richard breathing beside me, fast and shallow. Sharon? I said. You still there? Yes, I'm here. Her voice had changed completely. Gone was the cheerful greeting. Emma, I need you to tell me exactly what you're talking about. I explained everything. The stolen land, the payments from Beth, the fees from the ski resort and hunting club, how Richard had hidden it all, run it like his private empire while telling his own wife nothing. Sharon didn't say a word until I finished. Let me talk to Richard, she finally said. I handed him the phone. He took it like it weighed 50 pounds. Sharon, honey, I can explain. I couldn't hear what she said, but I watched Richard's face crumble. He listened for maybe 10 seconds, his expression going from desperate to devastated. Then she hung up. He stood there holding the dead phone, staring at it like it might ring again. She locked me out of the house, he said to nobody in particular. Change the security code. Huh, Beth said. Guess she understood the complicated business side after all. Richard looked at me with pure hatred. You destroyed my life. No, I said. You destroyed Grandma's life. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. He left. Just got in his truck and drove away without another word. We watched his taillights disappear down the mountain road, the red lights flickering between the trees until they were gone. Should we call Claire too? Patricia asked. Already texted her, Beth said, holding up her phone. Sent her screenshots of everything. She's not responding. We spent that night at the cabin, the four of us, going through what was left of the files, dividing up the LLC money I'd be giving them. Partial repayment for what Richard stole. It wasn't anywhere close to what he owed, honestly, but Beth got enough to relocate her cabins. Patricia got her $53,000 back. Michael got enough to pay off the loan Richard had given him, with interest. Nobody said thank you, not once. Patricia and Michael took their checks Monday morning and left. No acknowledgement, no family dinner to celebrate, nothing. Just got what they came for and disappeared. Patricia didn't even say goodbye, just folded her check, put it in her purse, and walked to her car. Michael at least nodded to me before he left. Beth stuck around to help me file the eviction notices. Richard had 72 hours to vacate the house. The ski resort had 30 days to remove their equipment from my property. The hunting club too. You know they're going to hate you, Beth said. We were sitting on the porch drinking coffee while the lawyer processed the paperwork. The whole family. Everyone around here. Richard's been the golden boy for decades. I know. Patricia and Michael already got their money. They're not going to back you up when it gets messy. I know. She looked at me. So why do it? I thought about Grandma. About her sitting up here alone while Richard built his empire on her land. About the medical records showing she was terrified at the end. About the nurse's notes saying Richard argued about inheritance while Grandma lay in a hospital bed with defensive bruising. About how she died 3 days later, and nobody questioned it because Richard was the responsible son, the successful businessman, the one who took care of things. Because she left this to me, I said. The only person who would actually do something about it. Beth nodded, finished her coffee. I'm moving my rentals to the valley, buying my own property with the settlement money, starting fresh. Good. You're not going to have any family left after this, you know? Not really. I'll still have the cabin. She almost smiled. Yeah, you will. Sharon filed for divorce 3 days later. Claire wouldn't return Richard's calls. Beth heard through the family grapevine that Claire had blocked his number entirely. His business partners forced him out when they found out about the fraud. Turns out running a company on stolen land creates serious liability issues. Who knew? Richard lost the house to eviction within a month, had to actually move out while Beth's cabins were being relocated to the property she'd bought 40 miles south. A nice piece of land with actual legal access, proper zoning, everything legitimate. She seemed lighter when I saw her overseeing the cabin moves, like a weight had lifted. He tried calling me yesterday, she told me. Wanted to know if I'd talked to Patricia about letting him stay in the Malibu condo for a few weeks. What'd you say? I hung up. Richard tried fighting it in court, but his lawyer told him there was no legal argument. The land was never his. The business was never legitimate. He had nothing to stand on. The judge took one look at the 1952 deed and the survey maps and dismissed everything Richard tried to file. I watched the excavators demolish his house on a Thursday morning. $2.3 million worth of custom-built luxury getting torn down to the foundation. The machines were massive, their metal arms swinging through walls like they were made of paper. Each impact sent up clouds of dust that drifted across the mountain in the morning light. Beth's cabins were already gone, sitting on her new property. Patricia and Michael had cashed their checks and vanished. No phone calls, no family updates, nothing. They got their money and apparently decided I didn't exist anymore. Richard sat in his truck at the property line, just parked there, engine off, watching. He'd been there since 7 in the morning when the excavators arrived. Didn't try to stop them. Didn't yell or make a scene. Just watched his entire life get erased, one load of debris at a time. I had tomato seedlings in a flat beside me, the same heirloom variety Grandma used to grow. I'd found the seeds in her cabin, carefully labeled and stored in the freezer. When the excavators finished and the lot was just dirt and foundation rubble, I walked over with my garden trowel and started digging holes. The dirt was good here, rich and dark. Richard had paid for nice topsoil when he built, probably spent thousands on landscaping. Now it would grow tomatoes. Richard's truck was still there. I could feel him watching me, but I didn't look up. Just planted those tomatoes right where his kitchen used to be, where he'd probably stood drinking coffee and looking out at his stolen view. Watered them from the old well using Grandma's dented metal watering can, marked each one with a little wooden stake. I planted 27 seedlings total, one for each $1,000 Beth had paid him. Seemed fitting. Richard's truck started. I heard the tires crunch on gravel as he pulled away, the engine sound fading as he headed down the mountain. Then silence. Just me and the mountain and the tomatoes growing where his house used to be. Grandma knew exactly what she was doing. Giving the land to the only person who understood it was never about winning.